Okay, so today we're going to go into a lesson. It's a very long lesson, right? So I'm going to try my best to be precise, right? But I want to make sure, we get this understanding when it comes to this lesson. The name of this lesson is entitled, Remember Your Covenant. Alright, remember your covenant. How many people know what covenant means? Brother Labah? An agreement. Alright, so the Most High made a covenant with who? Okay. Did he only make a covenant with Abraham? Okay, only Israel? Alright, so let's go into it. Alright, so we have the lesson. We have all the scriptures that we're going to go over already printed. So make sure you get your copy when we leave today, alright? So let's turn our Bibles to the book of Genesis. All praises to the Most High. Let's turn our Bibles to the book of Genesis, chapter 6. And we're going to read from verse 9. The book of Genesis, chapter 6, and we're going to begin at verse 9.
The book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 9. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation. And Noah walked with the Most High.
Alright, so Noah walked with the Most High. What does that mean? He followed the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. Okay, he walked in righteousness. Alright, so today's lesson is going to be somewhat a history lesson, but it's going to show who you are. Read on.
Verse 10. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before the Most High, and the earth was filled with violence. And the Most High looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth.
Read on.
Verse 13. And the Most High said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Verse 14. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shall thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without the pitch.
Right, so we all know this story. Alright, we all know about Noah and Noah's ark, the flood, and so on. Alright? So the reason why I'm going over these scriptures is to show you that the covenant was made before Abraham. Read on.
Verse 15. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of the 50 cubits, and the height of 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above. And the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof. With the lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. Verse 17. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die.
Right, so is this the first flood? Was this the first flood? No. It wasn't. This was actually the second flood. When you read the book of Joshua, it will show you that there was a flood before the ark. Okay? So when you get a chance, read the book of Joshua and you would see that the Most High flooded a certain part of the earth. But with this particular flood, the entire earth was flooded. Alright, so it wasn't the first flood, but to this magnitude it was. Alright, read on.
Verse 18. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife, and thy son's wife with thee.
Right, read that verse again.
But with thee I will establish my covenant.
My what?
My covenant.
So the Most High made a covenant with Noah first, before Abraham. He made an agreement with Noah.
Amen.
Alright? So this agreement impacted us, affected us. Without this agreement, we wouldn't even be here. Huh? Read on.
Thou and thy sons and thy wife, and thy son's wife with thee, and of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee, and they shall be male and female. Verse 20. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee, for them. Verse 22. Thus did Noah according to all that the Most High commanded him, so did he.
See that? So all that the Most High commanded Noah obeyed. So this is what it means to walk with the Most High. Alright? You have to walk in obedience. You can't say I'm walking with the Most High and not follow His laws, statutes, and commandments. Alright? So one of the reasons why the Most High chose Noah, because his seed was not mixed with the fallen angels. During this time, you would see that a lot of, as the scripture says, it was corrupted. And Noah and his children were one of the few righteous people that were alive during this period. Alright, so this is why the Most High made an agreement with Noah, because his seed was righteous, and he basically blessed him. Alright, let's go to Genesis chapter 9. And let's begin at verse 1. So let's see how the Most High blessed Noah. Read on.
Genesis chapter 9 verse 1. And the Most High blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered.
Right, so brothers and sisters, we have dominion over everything on this earth. So don't be afraid of nothing. They should be afraid of you. Alright? So we have dominion. And dominion is not a simple word. Alright? Read on.
Verse 3. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require, and at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man's blood be shed.
So this is the commandments being told. Thou shalt not kill. So these laws, these commandments was instituted before Moses. All right, read on.
Verse 7. And you be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And the Most High spake unto Noah and unto his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you.
I do what?
I establish my covenant with you.
Read on.
And with your seed after you. Verse 10. And with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. Verse 11. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by waters of a flood. Neither shall there be any more flood to destroy the earth.
So this is an agreement that the Most High made with Noah. He said, you know what, Noah? I'm gonna make sure I don't flood the earth anymore with water. So the earth won't be flooded the way it did during the time of Noah. It will be destroyed a different way. By what? By fire. Read on.
Verse 12. And the Most High said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations.
Read on.
I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
You see that? So every time you see a rainbow, that's the covenant that the Most High made with Noah. Every time you see a rainbow, just know that that's the sign of the covenant. Okay? So it's not just this thing in the sky. That's a covenant. That's something that you should be thankful. When you see a rainbow, praise the Most High. Because without that rainbow, you wouldn't be here. Alright, read on.
Verse 50. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh.
You see that? So it's not just Noah, it's all flesh. Does everybody see the rainbow?
Yep.
Israelite and Gentiles, they all see the rainbow. So everybody should be thankful to the Most High Ahaya for what He has done for us all. Read on.
And every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Verse 16. And I will set my bow, and the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, and I will remember the everlasting covenant between the Most High and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. Verse 17. And the Most High said unto Noah, This is the token of the covenant which I will establish between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Verse 18. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, and Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. Verse 19. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread.
Right. So with Noah and his 3 sons, this is how the earth was replenished. And this is how the earth was supposed to be in righteousness. Well, we know it got corrupted again. Alright? So when you look at Noah, you would see that he had 3 sons. And with those 3 sons is where the earth started reproducing. I want to show you something. Go to verse 27.
Verse 27. The Most High shall enlarge Japheth.
He shall do what?
Enlarge Japheth.
He shall enlarge Japheth.
And he shall dwell in tents of Shem.
You see that? So Japheth shall dwell in the tents of Shem. Right? So this is showing you that there will be Gentiles in the midst of Israel. Read on.
And Canaan shall be his servant.
And Canaan shall be his servants. Read.
Verse 28. And Noah lived after the flood 330 years.
50.
Excuse me. 50 years. And all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died.
Right. So we know that Abraham came out of the lineage of Shem. All right. So let's go into Abraham. Let's go to the book of. Let's go to Genesis chapter 12. And let's begin at verse 1.
Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Most High had said unto Abraham, Get thee out of the country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing.
Right, so now the Most High is looking for someone to carry on this torch that Noah and his progenitors left. So he chose Abraham. Okay, the same way how he would chose some of us to carry on and do the work, he selected Abraham. Alright? Now, Abraham was under his father's Terah guidance. But Terah was an idolater. Terah was someone that worshipped idol under the rulership of Nimrod. Alright, so Abraham couldn't really grow spiritually under his father's home. So this is why the Most High told Abraham, listen, you got to leave this area. You have to leave your father's house. Alright, this is how you will become a man. Alright, this is how you will become independent. Alright, read on.
Verse 3. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed.
Right, so because of Abraham's blessings, we were all blessed. Or we are all blessed. So this is why, you have to be thankful for our forefathers. Be thankful for Noah. Be thankful for Abraham. Alright? Let's go to Genesis chapter 15. And let's begin at verse 18. So I'm going to show you how this whole covenant got started. Read on.
Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. In that same day the Most High made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river of Euphrates. The Kenites and the Kenizzites and the Kadmonites, and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Rephaims and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites.
So these are all areas that the Most High gave unto Abraham. So brothers and sisters, don't settle for this small little island. We got a huge landmass that the Most High gave as an inheritance. Okay? So he gave these areas to Abraham and his seed. Alright? Let's go to Genesis chapter 17 and let's read verse 1.
The book of Genesis chapter 17 verse 1. And when Abraham was 90 years old and 9, the Most High appeared to Abraham and said unto him, I am the Almighty power. Walk before me and be thou perfect.
You see that? That's the same thing he told who? Same thing he told Noah. Walk before me. Or Noah walk with the Most High. So he's telling Abraham to do the same thing. Read that again.
I am the almighty power. Walk before me.
Now notice in the scripture, the Most High name is right there. See that?
I am.
Right there. And notice how they put it in common letters. Check that out. The name is right there. Read on.
And be thou perfect. Verse 2. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. Verse 3. And Abraham fell on his face, and the Most High talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations.
Right. So you see it says, and Abraham fell on his face. What do you think that means? Worship. Pray. Honor. Respected. So this is why when we did the lesson last week, showing the importance of prayer, you see our forefathers did the same thing. This is how they became perfect. This is how they walk. This is how they establish a relationship with the Most High. So if you want to do the same, just follow in their footsteps. Read on.
Verse 5. Neither shall thy name anymore be Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for in father of many nations have I made thee.
Right. So you see that names has meaning. Names are significant. This is why the Most High changed his name. Alright? So usually sometimes when we get baptized, we would change our name. There's nothing wrong with changing your name to make your purpose or make your function more realistic. Alright? So you notice when Abraham's name was changed, his full potential came forward. Read on.
Verse 6. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful. I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, in their generations for an everlasting covenant.
See that? This covenant is everlasting, brothers and sisters. Alright, so this is something that we can't forget. Read on.
To be a power unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. Verse 8. And I will give unto thee, and to thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession.
You see that? So this is part of the agreement that the Most High made with Abraham. So the land is part of the agreement. Read on.
And I will be, to be a power unto thee, and to thy seed after thee.
Read.
Verse 9. And the Most High said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore.
Thou shalt do what?
Keep my covenant, therefore.
So we have to keep this agreement. Read on.
And thy seed after thee in their generations.
So in our generation, this covenant must be remembered. We can't forget the covenant that the Most High made. Alright, read on.
Verse 10. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised.
So, brothers and sisters, this is a covenant. Circumcision. Alright, this was the covenant that the Most High made with Abraham. Read that verse again, verse 10.
This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised.
Right, so they throughout history, we lost this understanding with our people. They started teaching our parents that circumcision wasn't necessary. There's too much pain. You know, don't do that to the child. But this is a covenant. It's an everlasting covenant. Okay? So this is something that if you have a male child moving forward, make sure that child is circumcised. Because this is an everlasting covenant that should not stop. Read on.
Verse 11. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between me and you.
Right. So this everlasting covenant is according to the flesh. So we know there's a covenant according to the spirit. We're going to get there. Read on.
Verse 12. And he that is 8 years old shall be circumcised among you.
8 what?
8 years old.
Read that verse again. I'm like, wait, 8 years? You want the child to die?
Verse 12. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. Every man child in your generations. He that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed.
See that? So even the Gentiles have to be circumcised. Even the Gentiles. Read on.
Verse 13. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh, for an everlasting covenant.
You see that? So this covenant is according to the flesh that you still have to keep. Alright, read on.
Verse 14. And the uncircumcised man-child, whose flesh of the foreskin is not circumcised, the soul shall be cut off from his people.
Right, jump down to verse 19.
Verse 19. And the Most High said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
You see that? Now, I didn't read the verses before because it spoke about Ishmael. The covenant wasn't made with Ishmael. The covenant was made with Isaac. Okay? So this is very significant moving forward to understand who you are. Alright? So this covenant that was made with Isaac passed on to generations to generations. Alright? Now this is why in Islam you would find the law of circumcision because of Abraham. So Abraham taught Ishmael as well on how he should operate, how he should live. However, the covenant, the agreement wasn't made with Ishmael. It was made with Isaac. Read on.
Verse 20. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful. I will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget.
Right, so Ishmael will be blessed. This is why they are so rich, they're so wealthy, they're so powerful in the Middle East. That's their blessings. Alright? And there's 12 different sects of Islam, believe it or not. 12 different sects. Look it up. You got the Shiites, you got the Sunnis, you got the Kurds, and so on. Alright? Continue reading.
And I will make him a great nation. Verse 21. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee.
You see that? So the covenant was established with Isaac. All right? A whole generation to do it. All right? So we have to stop procrastinating, stop wasting time, and do thus said the Lord. Read on.
Verse 24. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of the foreskin.
At 90 years old. 99. Some people look at this as torture. You going to circumcise a 99-year-old? Listen, Abraham was a strong man. And circumcision is not that hard. It's not that difficult. Okay? So that's another misconception they taught us. Oh, it's too painful. It's going to hurt. If a man at that age can do it, if a child that is a couple days old can do it, there's nothing wrong with it. All right? Continue reading.
Verse 25. And Ishmael his son was 30 years old.
13, read on.
When he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the same day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son. And all the men of his house, born in his house, bought with money of stranger, were circumcised with him.
Right, so part of the contract, all males had to be circumcised. All right, so the Most High, he didn't forget the agreement that he made with Noah and Abraham. Because this certain lineage, this agreement was made and passed on to. Let's go into the book of Exodus to prove that. Exodus chapter 2, and let's read verse 1. So we know out of Abraham's stock, you had Isaac, you had Jacob. We know Jacob had 12 sons. All right? So now the legacy is passing on to his progenitors. All right? So let's read it.
The book of Exodus, chapter 2, verse 1. And they went a man of the house of Levi, and took to a wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when he saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. Verse 3. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flats by the river brink.
Right, jump down to verse 24.
Verse 24. And the Most High heard their groaning, and the Most High remembered his covenant.
He remembered what?
His covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And the Most High looked upon the children of Israel, and the Most High had respect unto them.
Listen, one thing that the Most High don't do is forget. He don't forget. We does forget, but he don't. All right, so he remembered this covenant that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He heard the children of Israel groaning. We were under hard bondage in the land of Egypt. All right, let's go to Exodus chapter 19, verse 5. So this covenant was supposed to pass on from generation to generation. Read that, 19 verse 5.
The book of Exodus chapter 19 verse 5. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people.
So this particular covenant, brothers and sisters, makes us different. It makes us different because the Most High, he chose us with this agreement. All right, read that scripture again.
The book of Exodus chapter 19 verse 5. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed,
If you do what?
obey my voice indeed.
So if you're not obeying, that means you're breaking the covenant. If you're not obeying the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, you are breaking your agreement with the Most High. Read.
And keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
Jump down to verse 32. I'm sorry. Let's go to Exodus chapter 32. Sorry, 23. Excuse me. So this covenant that the Most High made makes us different, makes us a peculiar people above all. Now, that's not saying that we should feel better than anybody. That's not saying that we should treat people, you know, in ways that we don't want to be treated. All right, because sometimes with this mindset that we are peculiar, we're special, we're chosen, it gives us this sense of pride and arrogance, and that's not the spirit of the Most High. So you have to be very cautious on how you receive this covenant and understand this covenant. This agreement is an agreement to live a righteous life. It's not saying that you should belittle anybody. All right, let's continue reading. Exodus chapter 23 verse 32.
Exodus chapter 23 verse 32. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor their gods.
So we can't make any other covenants with any other gods. This is what our people did. All right, we went away from the Most High. This is why we're in this position today. All right, so this covenant is a perpetual covenant. We can't make any other agreements with any other nations or any other gods. Let's go to Exodus chapter 31. Let's read our verse 16.
The book of Exodus chapter 31 verse 16. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant.
For what?
A perpetual covenant.
So the Sabbath is a perpetual covenant. That's the agreement that the Most High made with Noah all the way down to the children of Israel. Matter of fact, he made that agreement with who? Adam. He made this agreement with Adam from the beginning. All right? So the Sabbath is not a new thing. It's been there. It's been established. So it's just continuing. All right? This is what perpetual means. Read that scripture again.
Verse 16. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant.
So this is what made us peculiar. This is what made us different. Because we were the only people that were actually doing what the Most High commanded. This is why we were special. All right. So if you're not doing like the Joneses, or you're not doing the norm, you're special. That means you're different. This is why the children of Israel, they were different people, because they were actually following at one point. This is why the Most High chose them. When everybody else was disobeying and doing their own thing, going after all these different strange gods, we were faithful at one point. We were committed to the Most High at one point, but we went away. Let's go to Leviticus. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1. We got a lot of scriptures to go over today.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 26, verse 1. Ye shall make you no idols, no graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set it up any image of stone in your land, to bow down to it. For I am the Most High your power. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Most High. If ye walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, verse 4, then will I give you the rain in due season, and the land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. And your threshing shall reach unto the vintage, and the vintage shall reach unto the sowing time, and ye shall eat your bread to full, and dwell in your land safely.
Now, do you know that part of the covenant, part of the agreement is you have the blessings within it. The blessings that the Most High gave to Moses is part of the agreement. If you obey my laws, statutes, and commandments, you will be blessed. If you disobey my laws, statutes, and commandments, you will be cursed. So within the agreement, you have certain clauses. You have certain clauses set up in case you break it. Alright? Listen, it's like a regular agreement, you know. It's a regular agreement, like you go to a lawyer, you draft up an agreement, you must keep it. If you break it, there's a penalty. So the curses were part of the penalties. Continue reading.
And ye shall eat your bread to the full, and dwell in your land safely. Verse 6. And I will give peace in the land, and ye shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. And I will rid evil beasts out of the land, neither shall the sword go through your land. And ye shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to fleet. And your enemies shall fall by you by the sword. And I will have respect unto you, and will make you fruitful and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you. Verse 10. And ye shall eat old store, and bring forth the old because of the new.
Jump down to verse 15.
Verse 15. And ye shall despise, and if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul shall abhor my judgments, so that ye will not do all my commandments, but ye shall break my covenant, I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, and the burning ague that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart.
You see that? So these are the clauses that were set up. And it is clearly showing us that we broke it. And continue to break this everlasting covenant. Alright? Let's go to the book of Joshua. Chapter 7. Verse 11. So we broke the contract, brothers and sisters. We broke the contract and went and made other contract with other gods. How rebellious are we? How stubborn, how foolish are we? We gave up all those blessings to go after strange gods. Let's get it. Joshua chapter 7 verse 11.
Joshua chapter 7 verse 11. Israel had sinned And they have also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them. For they shall even take of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dissembled also, and they have put in even amongst their own stuff.
Read that scripture again.
Verse 11, Israel had sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dissembled also, and they put it even amongst their own stuff.
You see that? Listen, we were so wicked, we brought in other idols and put it on the Most High's temple. That's what Terah was doing. That's why Abraham got so upset and he destroyed everything. Alright? So we brothers and sisters, we picked up a lot of these rituals from these other nations. We adapted to it. We welcomed it. We loved it. The scripture says, for they even taken off the accursed things, and have also stolen and dissembled also, and have put it even among their own stuff. So part of our culture at one point had all these accursed things in it. This is why when you look at those Jewish people, they got some of our culture, but they got their accursed stuff as well. This is why we have to separate ourselves from these wicked and evil people. We can't, follow the ways of this world. Alright, so we have to separate ourselves. Let's go to Psalms chapter 78. Let's start off at verse 10. Psalm chapter 78, verse 10.
The book of Psalms, chapter 78, verse 10. They kept not the covenant of the Most High, and refused to walk in his law.
So they refused. They knew it, but they refused to do it. I ain't doing it. I ain't keeping no Sabbath. You understand? They know the Sabbath exists, but I'm not doing it. That's how stiff-necked they are. This is our people. And they're teaching the other nations to do the same thing. If we had upheld this contract, this covenant, the whole world would have been different. Everything would have been on course. Today, everything is upside down. Everything is reversed. Look at the climate. When it should be hot, it's cold. When it's cold, it's hot. When it's rainy season, you got dry season. When it's dry season, you got rain. Everything is reversed because of us breaking this contract. So we can't blame the other nations for why we're in this position. We gotta blame ourselves. Because it's our people continuing to break this contract. We gotta blame ourselves. So from now on, moving forward, stop blaming the other nations for your condition. It's your fault. You want to get back to that point, start keeping those laws, statutes, and commandments. It's that simple. Renew this contract. Renew this covenant. Let's go to, matter of fact, let's go into Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 24. Listen, I'm tired of these Israelites, man. Always blaming the other nations. Blame yourself. You keep disrespecting your nation, how do you expect any type of growth? You got to take responsibility for your own actions. You want to make some changes? Start making a change from you. Let's get it. Isaiah chapter 24 verse 5.
The book of Isaiah chapter 24 verse 5. The earth also is defiled under inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinances, broken the everlasting covenant.
You see that? It's we broke the everlasting covenant. Not the nations. We did it. So this mindset of blaming, this blame game, it needs to stop. Okay? You want to make things better? Renew your contract and start doing better. Let's go to 1 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 11 verse 11. Because listen, you got the wisest people to break these covenants. People who know better. Listen, Solomon broke this contract. Solomon of all people. One of the wisest men that ever lived. The spirits got to him. So the spirits got to Solomon. Who is we? Our knowledge is like this and wisdom is like this to compare to Solomon. And he was able to fall. Let's get it. 1 Kings 11 verse 11.
1 Kings chapter 11 verse 11. Wherefore the Most High said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant.
You see that? The Most High took the kingdom from Solomon because he broke the contract. So brothers and sisters, when we break the contract and continue to break the contract, the Most High take things away from us. You don't deserve it. I'm going to give it to somebody else who deserve it. And you got some Gentiles today that's making the effort to keep the commandments. You got Gentiles today telling you got to keep the Sabbath and keep it holy. Okay? So, and you got our stiff-necked people still talking about you can worship any day you want. What scripture says that? All right? So, Solomon broke this contract. Solomon broke the covenant. This is why we went into captivity. All right? So at one point under Moses, we regained the covenant. All right? We started following it. We started keeping it. We started remembering it. But with Solomon, listen, all hell broke loose. The 10 tribes they went off the most. We read earlier where they took the cursed things and put it in their own. That's them. They went off. They went off first. And then they taught Judah to do the rest. All right? But we're not excluded. Because we're still doing madness. You go in some of these churches, you just want to walk back up. The amount of idols they got posted up, you wonder for breaking this covenant, this contract. And the fine was a heavy penalty. Heavy. This ain't no slap on the wrist fine. This is generation. This fine was a generational fine. Okay? Let's get it. Jeremiah chapter 11 verse 3.
The book of Jeremiah chapter 11 verse 3. And say thou unto them, Thus said the Most High Power of Israel, Cursed be the man that obeyeth not the words of this covenant, which I commanded your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, from the iron furnace, saying, Obey my voice, and do them, according to all which I commanded you. So shall ye be my people, and I will be your power.
You see that? So the Most High, he's upset. He's upset because it was a contract that was supposed to be forever, for everlasting, and we broke it. But the Most High still remembered his part of the deal. When we forgot the deal, he remembered his part of it. Let's get it. Psalm chapter 89, verse 34. This is why the scripture says, I change not. The Most High never changed. Psalm chapter 89, verse 34.
The book of Psalms, chapter 89, verse 34. My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that is gone out of my lips.
You see that? Whatever his part of the deal was, he upheld it. So brothers and sisters, if you make a deal with somebody, make sure and uphold that deal. Don't go back on it. Alright? And there's a scripture in the New Testament, it says covenant breakers. People who just be lying. Con man, con woman, con artists. Right now, Israel is a con artist. Straight up. They try to con the Most High. Listen, you can't con the Most High. You cannot con the Most High. The Most High know that you're breaking the covenant. He know that you're not keeping it. So you can't hide. Alright, so his part of the deal, he's going to uphold. Alright, let's get it. Let's go to Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. So while we want to alter this covenant and put in different clauses and say, well, I can't do this. This is too hard. I got to change this to please my needs. The Most High said, you know what? I don't care what you do. I'm going to live up to my bargain. Let's read it. Malachi 3 verse 6.
The book of Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. For I am the Most High, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
You see that? So even though we broke this contract, he still remember his part of the deal. Even though we broke it. Listen, if this was some other God, we would have been destroyed. We would have been like this totally, gone. But he's merciful. Right? He's compassionate. Okay? So this is why we need to make an effort to keep our part of the deal. Let's go to Psalm chapter 50. So, listen, sometimes, all people have this tendency. We will make a contract just to get what we want. As soon as we get what we want, we break it. That's what we do. As soon as we get the things that we desire, we forget about the Most High. Let's go there. Psalms 50 verse 16.
The book of Psalms chapter 50, verse 16. But unto the wicked, the Most High said, What hast thou do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take hold of my covenant in thy mouth?
So, because of our disobedience, because we don't want to follow the contract, you have other people taking up our contract. And be like, you know what, I'll keep it, I'll take it. But the Most High is like, listen, I don't know who you are. The contract is not for you. You're not, these people in Israel, they don't have the contract. Alright? They're in the land that the Most High gave us. So he's looking at them like, yo, you don't belong here. I don't know who you are. So he's saying, read that scripture again.
Verse 16. But unto the wicked, the Most High said, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth?
So they took our covenant and say, I'm a Jew. I'm an Hebrew. I'm from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. No, you're not. Let me see a contract. Let me see a covenant. Okay? They don't have one. You know what they do? But it's a fraud. They got a contract in the United Nations that claiming to be the real people. Okay? So this real contract is not on paper. This contract is written within. Alright? So while they got a paper and talking about, yeah, this is our land, we are the people, the Most High like, yo, I didn't make no paper. Where does paper come from? It's like having a false deed. Like, yo, who drafted this up? This is not part, this ain't my handwriting. This ain't my handwriting. Okay? So, where they get this from? And the audacity to have it in their mouth. Talking about we're the people. We have the contract. No, they don't. Let's go to Genesis. Let's go back to Genesis. You know what? Hold that real quick. Let's stay in Psalms chapter 83. I want to show y'all something. So, brothers and sisters, all the nations falsified a contract. All of them. And let's see what they did. Psalms 83 verse 1.
The book of Psalms chapter 83 verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O Most High. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Ahijah.
So now our people like, yo, hold up. How they got the contract? So we telling the Most High, Father, we want to come back to our contract. We want to come back to our covenant. We want to make this covenant and make a new agreement. We went away from you, and we want to come back. So now we pleading out to the Most High. We're saying to the Most High, Father, it's time. We need a new contract. We need a new case. We need a new hearing. Are we going to get it? We don't.
Verse 2. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hated thee have lifted up thy head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against the hidden ones.
You see that? So they sat around their tables and drafted up new contracts. That's what they did in the United Nations. That's what they did in Geneva. This is what they do in their G8 meetings, their summits. They draft up contracts against our people to destroy us. Okay? When we don't want to come back to the laws, the statutes, the commandments, that's going to protect us from all these other contracts that is against us. No. We rather just settle. Alright? So they are making new contracts against our people. Let's go back to Genesis now. Genesis chapter 49. So, we need a lawyer. We need a lawyer. So we got a new hearing, and we got the best lawyer that money can buy. We got the best lawyer. This is like the Johnny Cochran of the kingdom. Yo, Christ's like, yo, listen, this contract don't fit. Listen, what complexion are you? Hey, hold up. I'm black and I'm comely. So, just that alone is signifying who the contract was given to. The contract wasn't given to Esau. It was given to Jacob. Alright, so let's get the lawyer. Let's get it. Genesis chapter 49 verse 10.
The book of Genesis chapter 49 verse 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
So now they messed with us. So we have to go and get the best lawyer out there, Yeshua. Okay? So now this lawyer took up our case. Christ called him, what's that scripture where he says, you're the father, what is that? You are of your father, the devil. How dare you want to take my people contract from them? How dare you? And you know Christ. Listen, Christ threw over those tables, man. That's the kind of lawyer you want. No nonsense lawyer. A lawyer who's very eloquent. He will talk to the judge, listen, Father, this is my people. They sinned, now they want to come back to you. Give them a second chance. And now, the Most High now, the judge, is saying, you know what? I'm going to hear their case. I'm going to hear their case. And now, we won the case. We won the case. This is why we got a new covenant. We have a new covenant that came from the old. So now the new covenant has stipulations from the old and a revised one. Let's go back to Malachi. Malachi chapter 3, verse 1. We just got a few more, right? Just bear with me. Malachi chapter 3, verse 1.
The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 1. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me.
So the Most High sent us this lawyer. He sent Christ because he had favor on us. He said, you know what? Because of their forefathers, they're in this position. I'm going to give a new generation a new opportunity to redeem themselves, to try to correct the mistakes their forefathers made. Read on.
And the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant.
Even the messenger of what?
Of the covenant.
Of the covenant. Read on.
Whom you delight in. Behold, he shall come, said the Lord of
You
hosts.
see that? Let's go to James chapter 4 verse 12. James chapter 4 verse 12.
The book of James, chapter 4, verse 12. There is one lawgiver.
There's what?
There is one lawgiver.
There's only one lawyer that can fight this case for us. Listen, if this was Muhammad, oh my goodness. If this was Muhammad, we would have gotten the death penalty. If this was Buddha, we would have been stoned to death. We would have been in the lake right now. But Christ came. He came and died for our sin, to give us a second chance. The Most High, listen, this is the best lawyer. This lawyer actually died so you can get a second chance. Gave up himself so we can have a new contract. Let's get it. James 4 verse 12.
The book of James, chapter 4, verse 12. There is one lawgiver who is able to save and to destroy. Who art thou judgest another?
You see that? There's only one. Can't have no substitute lawyer. Listen, that's the... Anytime you're in trouble, brothers and sisters, call on your lawyer. Call your lawyer. He's going to intercede for you. Listen, when you want to get rid of some demons and some spirits, call on him. In the name of Yeshua, I rebuke you. It's that simple. Call on the best lawyer that anybody could have. Anybody. Gentiles, if you want a lawyer too, call on him. He's going to beat your case. Let's go to Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 9 verse 15. So, brothers and sisters, you got to thank Christ as well, you know. Don't forget to thank Christ. Because if it wasn't for Christ, you wouldn't even have a new case. You would have been all dead. We would have been all dead. Alright? Hebrews chapter 9 verse 15.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 15. And for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament.
So that New Testament means new contract. So, when we say Old Testament, you're saying old contracts, old agreements. When you say New Testament, you're saying new contract. So, listen, the old...
Chosen, I have sworn unto David my servant.
You see that? So this is a sworn contract. Listen, this is Mama Guy. That's when we go to court. Put your hand on a Bible. Talking about, I swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And the whole courtroom is filled with lies. Everything is filled with lies. You're talking about, I'm going to tell the truth. Listen, I don't know anybody ever went to court and told the truth. Everybody lying in the courtroom. The spirit is there. As soon as you walk in the court, you start lying. You start thinking about all type of lies. And you put your hands on the Bible talking about, yeah, I believe in God. No, you don't. Listen, I did it. I did it. Yeah, exactly. Now, that's a good point, sister. Because this lawyer that we have don't lie.
That's right. Amen.
He's not going to lie to win the case. You got these other lawyers, they just going to lie all the way to freedom.
Tell me the truth, and then it's true, they go and tell them what to say.
Listen, what did Christ say? He said, I am the truth, the way. Right? He said, the truth shall set you free. That's all you got to do. Tell the truth. And you will go free. Just admit, listen, Father, I sinned. Help me to overcome my transgressions. Admit that you're a sinner. Admit that you're not perfect. Admit I have challenges I need to overcome. Alright? And Christ will take up your case. But you go in the courtroom, you lying from today till Sabbath, next Sabbath, what do you think is going to happen? Alright? So, the Most High made this new covenant because of Christ. Now let's go to the book of Colossians. We got maybe 3 more scriptures and we'll finish up. Colossians chapter 2, verse 11. So now this new contract is to cut off sin. So the old contract was more geared towards the physical. The circumcision of the foreskin and so on and so on. Now, this contract is more spiritual. It's more spiritual. Now you can't hide anymore. Yeah, I'm circumcised. But let me see the foreskin of your heart. Let's get it. Colossians 2 verse 11.
The book of Colossians chapter 2 verse 11. In whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision without hands.
So now this circumcision is without hands. Spiritual. Read on.
In putting off the body of sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Christ.
You see that? So this is a new contract that we must put off sin. That's the agreement we have now. Put sin away. Cut it off. Get it away from your life. You want to be part of that new contract? That new agreement? Get away from sin. Because sin is going to put us back in the same position where we came from. That's the same position our forefathers they got involved in. Sin. Alright? Let's go back to Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 20.
Hebrews chapter 13 verse 20. Now the Most High of peace that brought again from the dead our Lord Yeshua, that great shepherd of the sheep, through the blood of the everlasting covenant.
You see that? So Christ's blood was shed. Listen, that's when you shed blood, and you know, like when people, back in the days when people cut their hands and they put that blood on that stamp or that contract, that's supposed to be the utmost agreement. That's supposed to stand out than all other agreements. Blood was shed. Christ's blood was shed for that new contract. This is what makes him so special. Because nobody else wanted to do it. All the lawyers that came forward couldn't do it. listen, Moses couldn't do it. Solomon definitely didn't do it. Definitely. Solomon put us in a worse situation than we would ever been in. But Christ came and he delivered us. Gave us a new opportunity, a new case. Now, to be free, just tell the truth. Follow Christ. All right? Let's go to Romans. Romans chapter 11, verse 27. Verse 27. Romans chapter 11, verse 27.
The book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 27. For this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. As concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sake. But as thou touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sake.
Right. So Christ had to come to be our mediator, to be the one to intercede for us, because nobody could have done it. All right. So with Christ coming, he was able to negotiate with the Most High so we can get a second chance. All right. So now we got the second chance. What are you going to do with it? Are we going to break the covenant again? Are we going to go back and sin and start all over again? Listen, you're not going to get... Listen, right now the courtroom is closed. You can't go to court anymore. You woke up to the truth. You woke up. There's no more, trying to plead for, you can't plead anymore. You already know the circumstances. It's like, matter of fact, you on parole. We on parole. So, whether we continue to live righteously or we continue to live in sin. And we know what happens when you break the law. The parole officers is going to come looking for you. You know what the parole officers is? Angels. They're going to come knocking at your door. Matter of fact, you got a parole officer everywhere you go. Watching every single action you do. So you can't hide from your parole officers. You cannot hide from your parole officers because they're documenting everything to take back to the judge. And when that day comes, when judgment day comes, you can't make any more excuses. Can't say, Father, I didn't know. I wasn't taught properly. You got the book. Matter of fact, you see a book right here. You got all the clause right in here. Everything that you need to know to get into the kingdom is right here. So you can't say, well, I didn't know this clause was there. Alright? Let's get the last scripture. Galatians chapter 3, verse 15. Galatians chapter 3, verse 15.
The book of Galatians, chapter 3, verse 15. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men. Though it be but a man's covenant, yet if it be confirmed, no man dishonored it, nor added thereto.
All right, so you can't take away or add to this covenant that Christ made for us. You can't want to take away the Sabbath day. You can't want to take away the laws and the prophets. You can't do that. You didn't write the contract. So this is what our people are doing today. They're making their own contracts. You can't do it. Read on.
Verse 16. Now of Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He said not unto seeds as for many, but as of one.
So Abraham's seed, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to uphold your end of the contract. Your name is on the contract. Seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Your name is written there. Alright? So if you want to keep your name on that contract, you gotta walk with the Most High. You gotta keep His laws, His statutes, His commandments. You gotta keep that contract, keep that covenant. Read verse 17, last verse.
Verse 17. And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before the Most High in Christ, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul, that it should make the promise of none effect.
See that? So you can't take away what the Most High ordained. You can't take away what Christ negotiated for you. You have to keep it. Alright? You have to remember it. Alright? And in this contract, it should be written within. Write it on your heart so you can't forget. Because that's where the new covenant is supposed to be written. Let's get the last one. No, Jeremiah. Last one. Jeremiah 31. Verse 31.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 31. Behold, the days come, said the Most High, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, said the Most High. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, said the Most High, I will put my law in their inward parts.
In their what?
In their inward parts.
In their what?
In their inward parts.
Where is the inward parts? This whole temple, this whole vessel, you are the new contract. This is why we all here. Read on.
And write it in their hearts, I will be their power, and they shall be my people.
See that? So if we wanna be on, let's keep on the right side, brothers and sisters, please don't forget the covenant. Alright, all praises to the Most High. Ahaya, Asha, Ahaya, Bahashem, Asha, Waqadash. Barakatham to everyone. Bless you all. I pray that this lesson was helpful. I pray that it was edifying. And, are there any questions? Any questions? Alright, with that being said, all praises to the Most High for allowing this lesson to be read. So now we're gonna stand. We do have a question. I'm sorry, sister. I can't see too good, right? So, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't see your hands. Let me pass this mic back to you.